going on, comic book people of the world? It is Wednesday, and that means it's comic book day, and all of these comic books came out this week. But you know what? I don't really care. The one I care about the most is Young Justice, issue number 1, that was written by Brian Michael Bendis and illustrated by Patrick Gleason. Yes, Young Justice has returned, not only in the animated form on the DC streaming service, but also in comic book form. I was a huge fan of the original Young Justice run that was done by Peter David. He had such a unique way of writing the characters where there was a lot of humor being put in there, but at the same time you also saw adventure that was really fun. I'm going to give my thoughts on this first issue, so if you haven't read the issue yet, I'm just warning you in advance. First, the story opens up with Jenny Hex coming into Metropolis. Although, wait a minute, back up for a second. It really starts on Gem World, which, to be completely honest, I've never really read much about Gem World to begin with. What we find out in DC continuity, there has been 7 different crises that have taken place on Earth that has also affected Gem World. The person making this revelation is Carnelian, who happens to be the adopted son of Dark Opal, who happens to be the ruler of the House of Dark Opal on Gem World, which I'm assuming this is going to be playing out into this first major story and maybe giving some answers later. But back to Jenny Hex. She arrives in Metropolis when the warriors of Gem World come in and start attacking, all saying, "Where's Superman?" Enter my boy Tim Drake, Robin, not Red Robin, just Robin. He starts to help out by battling these guys. When we have another slight flashback where we find out that him and Cassandra Sandsmark, who happens to be Wonder Girl, just ran into each other beforehand. She's reluctant to join in the fight, but she realizes that she is needed. Enter Bart Allen, also known as Impulse, also known as Kid Flash too. And he comes in and he's literally running off the panels. I mean, Patrick Gleason has drawn him in a way where his speed is so amped up that he doesn't even have panels in a comic book to contain it. I admit that's actually really cool. We briefly get the introduction of Teen Lantern, who also helps out, and I'm sure the origin story for this is going to be really interesting. The warriors of Gem World are fought back to a point, and they retreat with Young Justice following after. I didn't expect anything to really be explained in this first issue. This is more of a gathering of the team. With that being said, oh my god, I have so many questions. Tim Drake seemed to know who Bart was, even though this is not the same Bart that he was interacting with in the Teen Titans. There's a point where Tim Drake mentions Connor, but in continuity, Tim Drake, last we heard, had no idea who Connor was. Why did Tim eliminate the red in his name and now is just known as Robin? Cassie talks and acts like a completely different version of the previous Wonder Girl that she was supposed to be in the New 52 universe. Has Bart just been running around aimlessly and hasn't actually tried to hook up with his grandfather Barry? The last time we saw Tim, he went off with Stephanie, his girlfriend, spoiler, to try to figure out everything that had happened and what had been erased from their timeline and to see whether or not he could piece things together. So, I'm hoping that maybe this is going to be the story that's going to be told after this first story in Young Justice, where they're all just kind of teaming together, and then maybe we get some sort of flashbacks as to how this happened. I would be so excited to see that happen and to see him get his memories back. I was so stoked to see Connor Kent at the end of this issue too. After Tim Drake, Robin, and Midnighter, I'd have to say that Connor Kent, Superboy, is my favorite character in the DC universe. Patrick Gleason's artwork is phenomenal. At first I wasn't on board with it though. The promotional images originally published for this new comic book series showed all the characters as if they've all de-aged by a good 5 to 6 years or so, almost as if like they're 12, 13-year-olds now. But seeing them in this comic book, they do look a little bit younger, but not so much so as originally shown. The only downside about this first issue, at least in my own personal opinion, is that the gathering of these superheroes all felt a bit too coincidental, and it seemed to happen very quickly. And with the catalyst of this being Gem World, it didn't feel as though they're all that great and powerful, and it didn't seem as though it's like a huge antagonist that we all should worry about. But that was a really minor thing. Regardless of that, I had a huge smile on my face reading this and seeing these characters together. And this made me feel quite positive for the DC universe, especially seeing a teenage group of heroes that all work together well. I will definitely say that this is a Brian Michael Bendis book with the dialogue and the characters talking over each other. It's either a hit or miss for many fans out there. You either love his work or you hate it. I mean, I've personally been a fan of his stuff for the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, but I know other people weren't that big of a fan for it. Anyways though, this is only the first issue and I've been talking way too much about it. I cannot wait to read issue number 2 and I can't wait to see Superboy's interaction with Tim Drake again. If you're interested in reading this yourself, it is available anywhere. It is a DC comic book. It is available in digital format and printed format. There are also many different variant covers for the first issue as well. But that's my thoughts on this first issue. I may be doing a video on each individual issue as it comes out. I haven't decided yet. I will also be doing a video on Iceman issue number 5 that also came out today. This is the conclusion to the miniseries that came out recently that was written by Cena Grace. But stay tuned for those later. With that, thank you guys for watching me in this video. If you haven't done it yet, check out my Patreon site, check out my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
I'm in love with a hero.
Damian Wayne has his own fan base, which I completely respect. There are people who like him as being the definitive Robin, but I am curious as to what's going to happen now that there are two Robins running around. I love the idea of Tim Drake just being Robin again, so I know some people may not like that, but personally, this is something that I think is awesome.